Welcome, friends, to episode 323 of Color Magic, a Magic Gaming podcast where we talk about all types of issues that affect gamers at and away from their gaming tables and computers. I am your host, PowrDragn, and for 323 episodes, still got my main man chilling down south, Brian Psionic. How's it going, dude?
Going pretty good. We were about to have I think like right after we finish this baseball opening day, kind of sort of opening day. It's one game, and then there'll be all the rest of the games tomorrow. But hey, baseball season.
It's all right. We do that for football, right? We get like our Thursday night game, but then we don't have anything till Sunday,
Great.
you know.
So
So like
this is
that's
better. You get like one game tonight, then you'll have a full slate tomorrow.
yes. It's as they say, it's about to be sports ball season again. Oh, also, if you're a football guy, I think UFL starts Friday or tomorrow or this weekend. Yeah, because they're supposed to be doing some type of concerts at the open of every game or
Oh, okay.
something.
So they're
So
trying to
yeah,
do the NFL motif, and a
doing
couple of those guys have made it to the next level. So
doing what I call the minor league baseball deal, where you're just like
yeah,
everything's an event, right? To get you to come
exactly.
to the game. So you gotta love
And when you
that.
get people at your game that could care less about football, baseball, or whatever, they're just there because it's an event. People are having fun.
Yeah, you're taking the family out or you're on a date or just getting out to do something or whatever. But there's something going on around it other than just a sport, which is nice. But yeah, man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We had some banning announcements this week. We had some cool crossover product with other video games for Magic, which was really cool. Just lots of interesting stuff this week, though also some bad Fortnite news. So we'll get to that later as well. But we got to handle some business. So if you want to support the show, go over to patreon.com/color of magic. We really appreciate your support. Like always, we have some patrons that have been with us since the beginning. And some of you, you sign up, you might get a shout out, just like Braden Greenlee. So thank you so much, Braden, for being a patron. But also, we have a sponsor for the show, Manapool. If you want to save some money on your card, you get a free $5 to just buy whatever you want on their website. If you will go to our link, it's manapool.com/promo/color of magic. And it's a site full of all kinds of stuff. You can magic everything is on there if you want to go buy stuff. And you can search through a bunch of different vendors. You can look for the best price, the version of the card you want, whatever. And again, you can get $5 off. Like that's the biggest thing. So go do that over at manapool.com/promo/color of magic. But all right, let's knock out the early news here that people were talking about. There was this anticipation that they were going to ban some cards instead. Now, admittedly, I think there's just a lot of people that have a card they dislike or a card they're seeing a lot that they just want banned, even though it's not unbalanced for the format. But I get it. People see a lot of something, namely Badger Mole Cub was on a lot of people's radar. But honestly, if you looked at the different major tournament results and whatnot, the Badger Mole Cub decks weren't overly dominating. Like they still show up, a couple of Badger Mole decks in a top 8 or a top 16, but it's not crazy. Even more so, I think the Is It decks with all the spells, those are probably more problematic or more prevalent, and they're still not necessarily the most dominant winning deck in every single tournament. So, yeah, I think we're at a good spot right now where top 8s are usually 5 or 6 different decks a lot of the time. So top 16 and 32s are definitely split across several decks. But you kind of have a good strong tier 1 of probably 8 or 9 different decks right now, and then a bunch of other stuff that's still playable. So you can't really
Yeah, 'cause
complain too
Bannigs
much.
the big thing. You don't want to break out the ban hammer for a deck that isn't even really winning anything.
Yeah, that's
That'd be
kind of
too
my
much.
argument too. Is until something is consistently like 30 to 40% of the field trying to play this deck, or your top 8s are always half of this other deck or whatever, you don't really need to target anything. Like, it's okay for cards to be strong and for decks to be strong, right? Like, there's going to be something. I tell people all the time, like everybody goes to be a doctor in college, but somebody's going to be a valedictorian, somebody's going to be at the bottom of the class, right? Like it's just the way it is. They all can come from the same place, but something's got to be better than everything else. But we did ban a card, which was really funny. If you looked, it's just like no bans, no bans, no bans, no bans. Historic gets a card ban, like just randomly in the middle of everything else. But I kind of get it. When you're looking at why a card would be banned or whatever, this is one we talk about all the time. Or not but the type of card we talk about in food chain, where it's just exists for combo purposes. Nobody ever plays food chain in a fair deck in the history of Magic when it's been legal in a format. So not a surprise here on food chain getting the ban. The bigger thing to me though was I don't even at least they haven't said anything to me when I've asked, but I haven't seen it in Discord. I haven't seen it in YouTube comments. Like I haven't even anybody asked me to make a historic video or whatever on my channel. But I've had people ask for, like timeless or brawl or whatever. So I don't even know if anybody's active. I mean, somebody is obviously.
Yeah, for them to bother to ban something, somebody somewhere must
Yeah,
be still interested in it.
but I don't know how popular the format is. And I've questioned if it kind of only exists right now so you can play alchemy cards more than anything. Because a lot of the people that want to play that kind of mid-tier older format, they're just playing Pioneer now on Arena because it closely mirrors what they can play in paper. And if you want to just play everything with your old cards, you just play Timeless. So I don't even know where historic or to a lesser extent alchemy even fit right now. But it's still a thing. They're still going to use it for, I believe, the next Arena Championships is going to be historic. So they're still going to be playing it and still pushing the format. But I wonder, I mean, like, I guess the problem for me is even if you did away with alchemy and historic, what's the best way to compensate the players for all these alchemy cards for the ones who do actively play the format? Like, what would you even do? Right. So it might just be a thing that just always exists in Arena and it just exists. And it's fine, I guess. But all the other formats seem to be doing well. And they gave lots of explanations for all of them. Even showed some different deck examples of, here's a deck that's doing well, here's a deck that's doing well, and this is why we don't really see this being a problem, which is cool. I like this format where they show, hey, here's one of the top decks right now that are playing some of the cards you might be concerned about, but here's why we don't think it's an issue. So you're getting kind of real arguments for every format, which is nice. And then if you don't play the formats, you're getting introduced to a deck, right? You're just like, oh, if you're curious what people play in this format, here's an idea. So it's kind of cool overall. I was pretty happy with this. Sort of met what I expected. I didn't think there was going to be any bannings, even when people asked me. So kind of a big nothing burger. And that's kind of a good thing. I feel like no news is good news when it comes to bannings. That if everything's fine, that's great. That's kind of what you want. But I do have a thing I was less happy about. So we're going to talk about that in the soapbox. And for those of you who don't know, and we've mentioned Gamma before, but it's basically the Game Manufacturers Association, and it's kind of the overarching body for the tabletop game industry. And they do basically a convention every year. Everybody gathers, talks about different issues, shares tactics for game stores to be able to sell stuff better, and lots of meetings and whatnot. And there's an organization that popped up called Save Gamma. Their website is savegamma.org. And anytime I hear something that's save whatever, I'm always like, okay, you're gonna have to explain some things to me why I need to get on board with whatever it is you're trying to peddle to me. That's my first thing. But in this case, it felt a little weird because their mission, as they say, is to get representation and transparency in the Gamma Trade Association, blah, 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 blah. But yet, there's zero transparency on their end. To my knowledge, of other people I've talked to in the game industry about it, nobody seems to know who is officially backing this group or people. I don't know if it's a company or if it's individuals. like I have no clue. And
And
it's
is
like
there the industry perception that Gamma is actually in danger? It's like, what are we saving it from?
not really. That was the other thing because I said, okay, I'm not actively running a store right now. Maybe there's something I'm missing, right? Because that was a real question. He said, I don't know. Things seem fine. We just came off of the Gamma Trade Show a couple weeks ago. We saw new products. We saw this. We saw that. Like in any board of directors, there's always one or two people that folks don't like for one reason or another because they don't see stuff the same way or whatever. there's been one person who seems like they were rude toward people and had like probably shouldn't be on the board anymore, and that's been discussed. But nothing as far as structurally seems to be an issue with anybody. So that was the weird part to me. And
So
then
far as we
following,
know, Gamma does not actually require saving.
yeah, that's literally it. Like, so when that's the case, I go, okay, so what are we really doing here? And they're like, oh, well, we surveyed some people, and here's some people we want to support. And it's like, okay, but when I read through this, a lot of it is like referencing like the POTUS situation or whatever. And I'm like, so this is like a political thing to try to get certain people into positions in Gamma is sort of the vibe I'm getting. And it's kind of like as far as and some of it is like some of the businesses are like fellowship games and blah blah blah. And it's just like, okay, I see what we're going for here. But it comes off very suspicious. Lots so if you hear anything floating around, just know that even people in the game industry are kind of looking at this a little bit with a side eye right now. Cause it's like, who are these people? Who's submitting the surveys? Who wants the information? For a company, anytime a company says they want to be, we want more transparency, you want this, but then like you aren't even being transparent, like we gotta be suspicious, right? There's something else going on here. So
Just the George Costanza, the human fund. What does it do? Money
yeah,
for people.
that's exactly what it is though, dude. And you know, again, not to get too political because I know people hate that, but politics are in gaming at this point, right? We are seeing that even with some of our politicians of, oh, there should be transparency and there should be this, but the minute you try to open the door for transparency, like, oh, well, nah, we're just gonna handle this, you know? Oh no, you don't need to know who bid on this thing or whatever.
We didn't want to be transparent. We wanted the other side to be more transparent.
Basically, that's sort of what this feels like. So I don't know, like, but I bring this up to say that this when we talk about politics, it does penetrate all of gaming, right? Whether we're talking about tariffs or now Gamma that oversees your tabletop game industry, right? It's kind of just everywhere, and you can't do anything about it, right? Whether we like it or not, there are going to be times we have to talk about it because it's just part of everything, man. We don't really get a choice. But this whole save Gamma thing, I don't know what's going on. And the website also looks kind of thrown together, if I'm being honest. It's very basic. It's just like the website, their opening page is just their logo. They say who we are, but it's more just like what we want, yeah, like more than who they are. And that's kind of it. I mean, it's just there's not much of substance here. So it's very awkward. I don't know what's going on. But I thought it was at least worth mentioning because anytime I've seen organizations like this or have this type of behavior, usually doesn't feel like they have a truly positive or altruistic thing that they're aiming for. So kind of just got under my skin a little bit when I saw it. But let's talk about some other happier, more interesting things because we did learn some fun things this week. And this one's one I forgot about but remembered and wanted to share. So I'm always looking up like random game facts and things. And this was one that I knew that I forgot. But people don't know that Nintendo originally started out selling playing cards, which I think is a thing that people are just would be like, "What playing cards?" But yeah, it was for a game called Hanafuda, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm sure somebody's going to yell at me for not having proper pronunciation. But it's to my understanding, like a 16th or 17th century card game that was just popular that they were making variations of cards for a long time. And it's kind of funny when you think about it that they started there and then over time we're like, we're just going to do video games instead and be one of the long-term mainstays in the video game industry. A true definition of like it's not where you start, it's where you finish. Cuz man, I and it's cool. Even looking into the Hanafuda thing, like it looks really neat. Almost like tile style cards is the best way to describe it. And it's pretty cool, but I've never played it. I just know it exists, and even prior, I didn't know it was a thing until I found out about Nintendo making cards, and I was like, "Oh, And they said playing cards. So I was like, I was thinking, oh, I could probably buy like an old vintage Nintendo playing card deck, the 52 cards. And it's like, oh no, it's for a whole different game I've never heard of. That's 48 cards, as it turns out. And they're smaller cards as well. They don't measure the same, as normal playing cards. But it's really cool. Um, it looks like it's I guess multiple nationalities have some version of it. So I guess there's a version in Hawaii, there's a version in Korea. But yeah, really cool. If you don't know about it, it's worth a little like deep dive just to learn something different about one of your favorite companies that you might not know. But dude, you had something else because we mentioned Acclaim was coming back, and apparently they might have a thing finally.
Yeah, it's called Basketball Classics. It's actually out now on. I haven't played these. I think it's pretty much on all the PC and all the quote unquote major consoles right now. And it's kind of based on, like, for those of us that are of a certain age that remember games such as Double Dribble. It's kind of in that 8-bit animation style, but it still actually has some of the more important developments from modern sports gaming, including, like player ratings, and you're able to actually, you can do some light play calling, and it doesn't have a license, but it'll have basically, this goes all the way back to, classic gaming. You don't have Kobe Bryant, but you have, shooting guard Los Angeles, and everybody obviously knows who that's supposed to be, and so on.
This
So
is
yeah,
interesting because,
pretty
like,
fun actually.
yeah, like I think when we heard Acclaim was coming back,
Yeah,
we were thinking more modernized games. So the fact that they've decided to, I guess, reemerge as a retro gaming company, kind of a surprise, really. I wouldn't have guessed this because I was like, oh, to be curious to see what they do finally coming back after so long or whatever. And it's like, whoa, this is kind of out of left field. I mean, you've been playing a lot of sports games, so how have like people been responding to this?
this one really does work, because again, now, as I said, if you never played, Double Dribble, you're probably going to be just like, what in the world is this? But I think for a gamer of a certain age that has fond memories of Double Dribble, NBA Jam, even, I think you actually are probably going to enjoy this a little bit. And again, there's a lot of, they said there's over 1,000 characters to unlock, and yeah, they have, ratings and attributes, like, okay, like small forward Cleveland, obviously really explosive athletically, really good at dunking. Clearly LeBron James, but not really. It's like we have LeBron James, but again, that's what they would do back in the Super Nintendo era if they didn't have the license. Even in some cases, actual license games like Tecmo Bowl, there'd be one or two people that, for whatever reason, didn't sign the license. Gave us great players like QB Eagles instead of Randall Cunningham. So even that makes it feel, really like a game from the 1980s.
Now, is this on mobile or is it just like a PC thing?
Looks like just PC and consoles. I haven't seen anything that
Okay.
says it's on mobile anywhere.
Because I was just thinking, like, with it being 8-bit, like, you could probably get it on
Yeah,
mobile.
absolutely. It would
Yeah.
clearly run on your phone, so maybe that's a thing they'll do at some point.
Yeah,
And
this is
also,
interesting.
it's funny to see how, just you can do so much with pixelated art, because there are so many great Easter eggs. Like even the halftime show, without, any facial features other than a hat and glasses, one of the halftime performers is obviously Cool Mo D.
That's funny.
And it's because you instantly recognize the hat and the glasses. So even without, defined graphics, yeah, just that, the Kango hat and the glass, like, yeah, it's clearly Cool Mo D. And there's so many players, oh, that's obviously so and so. It's great, and you really don't even realize how much they can do with pixelated art until you realize everything they're dropping. I mean, there's probably people I didn't recognize, but for the most part, I say, like, yeah, that's obviously Cool Mo D. That's what I'm seeing. That's the inside the NBA broadcast team. Again, no facial features, just things like, okay, Craig Sager is wearing a really loud suit. Obviously, Craig Sager.
One of the things too, and we've talked about this in our previous episode recently, was that, maybe we're seeing where a lot of companies are realizing, like, hey, we don't need to go spend $15 million making a game, right? Like, as long as it's just fun, cool. If it doesn't cost us a lot, it doesn't need to make $100 million. It can
Also,
make
only
$5 million.
$9. That's the price where you get, hey, for $9, if you even kind of sort of like basketball, it's worth a try. the just regular mode you can pretty much beat in a couple hours, really.
Oh, dude, we said before, if a game's $10 or less, I'm likely not going to be upset with my experience of trying it.
Right?
You know, even if it's whatever that was, Berry, 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 or
Yep.
whatever that crazy game was for $8 or whatever.
And for people that want to be a true savage and unlock all 1,000 players, there will be people that do that. I'm sure because there really is just even with 8-bit graphics, there's a strategy to it. There's like basically three, plays you can call, and you basically you try to figure, okay, you got to unlock certain players. All right, I got Shaq. Maybe I want to even the. And actually, I think their dunk mini game, I think is actually new. I don't remember somebody may have done something like this. Basically, each player has a certain amount of, I guess you could say, moves they can do while they're trying to dunk the basketball. So let's say if your guy has 8 moves and the person trying to defend you only has 5 moves, they're going to try to move around and block you. But if they don't have enough moves, okay, you're out of moves. I'm dunking on you now. So that's a really a neat thing that it may be from some classic game, but I've never seen that mechanic before. And again, back any kind of sports game, especially basketball, that came out arcade wise, I played it pretty much from 1980s on. So
I think
I'm not saying it's brand new. I'm saying I haven't seen it before.
yeah, I would just say in general, even beyond it being a sports related game, I think this is more of just kind of reinforcing, like I said, what we were saying is maybe companies in the industry are realizing, hey, the way in isn't to be trying to do these $10 million first person perspective, high graphics engine, whatever thing. It's just like, no, we could just make a Stardew Valley. You know what I
Because
mean?
we're seeing one of those, high profile shooters die almost every month. It seems
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, for sure.
R.I.P. High Guard.
Yeah, so many games, like just left and right. And it's like, man, some of these games have taken 6 years, tens
Right.
of millions of dollars to just come out and die in 3 months.
Entire studio is shut down because that was, they were all in on this is going to be the next big thing. And
Yeah, whereas we have Balatro and Slay the Spire and even this thing from Acclaim and whatever that
yeah,
costs hell a tenth as much as these other
right.
games take to make and are going to make probably twice as much money as all these failed games.
Balatro is a good comparison because you think like, oh, okay, this is easy. I figured everything out. Then I put it on, new game plus hard mode, and the computer is still killing. Oh, okay, there's even way more to this than what I thought I knew.
Oh yeah, like Balatro is a game I can not play for a couple months and come back to it and then step up the difficulty and now it's like I'm starting over learning a game it feels like. So lots of variability there. And I, even games like we're saying like Stardew Valley or whatever. That's just a small little couple folks working on that game. And it's made hell, probably tens of millions at this point. That game's super popular.
But also, like, it's kind of like a double with it because we had mentioned the Acclaim thing before, and cool to say they're coming back. We're still trying to figure out what that even looks like. I don't think we mentioned last time because I don't think we knew. Jeff Jarrett is one of the founders of New Acclaim, apparently.
Oh, slap nuts himself.
Right? J for those of you that know, JEFF,
Yep.
JARR, ETT for those that don't. He's a professional wrestler. He's not a household. It's basically like if you know who Jeff Jarrett is, you're probably a lifelong wrestling fan.
Yeah, he's pretty much wrestled for damn near everybody at this point,
Yeah,
even the independents. So
but
he's
only among wrestling fans would he be considered a big name. If you,
oh
he's one of those people
yeah.
like he is not a Macho Man or Hulk Hogan or anybody unless of course you saw the movie Spring Breakers. I think he's in
Hell, I don't
he's in
think
Spring Breakers as a camp counselor.
I don't know if he's even had a commercial promoting a thing that wasn't a wrestling related thing. So I don't think he's ever broken out of just wrestling pop culture. He might have done one thing or two with the WWE because they tried to get everybody into commercial at some point in the like
Yeah.
Attitude Era. But
And every time I would mention him, writing for entertainment, tell the boss would and tell people to watch Spring Breakers, like right with his 10-second cameo.
yeah, exactly. But all right,
But
man,
hey, he knows how to get himself in front of the camera if nothing else, which
that is true. He's done it for a while, so can't hate.
and I'm assuming he saved his money.
Yeah. But all right, let's talk about a few things because there were some interesting things that came up this week. The first is that there's a new commander channel for Magic called Spell Slayers. And Slayers or Slay, if you will, plays a heavy role there because they had their first official video come out in the last 2 weeks, and they had kind of like a teaser video of what they were working on. But then they launched a video with Gavin Verhey with as one of their first guests, and the hosts happened to be drag queens. So they went ahead and dressed up Gavin in drag, and it was a pretty damn good video. It was well produced. Everybody had a good time. They even did a separate video of like the making of, so you could see Gavin go through the transformation and everything. And I thought it was pretty cool. We talked about representation, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe the two hosts were part of the video that they made for the Command Zone game nights a while back. If though I think those are the same people. But regardless, when you talk about having representation of all different types of people and lifestyles or whatever, this went over pretty well. I think they've done over 100,000 views already, which is really cool for their first big YouTube video. And their other stuff looks like people are paying attention to it. So good on them, man. This was kind of a wild one. A fun
Now, is this
watch.
going to be the theme where every episode will be an elaborate drag, or is this
I think the hosts themselves will always be in drag as that's their
okay?
characters.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're gonna ask everybody else to dress up, which would be hilarious to see some popular Magic
oh, absolutely.
personalities come on.
That by itself is going to make people tune in that probably wouldn't tune in just to watch people play Magic.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, even if it's, let's say you could get a Magic celebrity to come on, like a Post Malone or somebody, right? That would be entertaining as hell, and people would tune in for it, guaranteed. So that feels like that could be a lot of fun. And I'm a big fan of if you have a bit, commit to the bit,
Right.
just go all in on it. So if they do, I think they will guarantee themselves view because
Yeah.
just as a curiosity factor, people would want to be like, man, I wonder what the professor looks like in drag or
Right.
whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be a thing that's going to come up. So like, I'm here for it, man. If they can make it work, I got nothing but love for it, man. I think that could be an entertaining gimmick because that's the other thing too right now, right? There's tons of people doing the same thing, and it's how do you differentiate yourself,
Exactly.
especially if you're trying to get into Commander because that's the most popular format, and it feels like there's a new Commander channel popping up every week that somebody's
Definitely.
trying to make content for. So they found a bit going, hey, we do this anyway, and nobody else making hell, I was gonna say Commander content, but hell, just Magic content as a whole happens to be a drag queen. So just take advantage of what you know in your community and really promote it. So
Which
good
is
on them.
actually wild because I mean, Twitch has had a pretty active drag community for a fairly long time. So yeah, I'm kind of shocked nobody has done. Well, then I guess I say I'm shocked, but then again, not necessarily because
We've
as we
seen
talked
some
about,
issues.
yeah, that's kind of how we got here. Is the Magic community is not always the most inclusive thing.
Yeah, so this was a cool one, and honestly, even if you don't like drag culture or whatever, like go watch it and see how fun it is. And everybody's playing up their bit and going with their goofy names and having a good time. Like you can't hate on it, man. It's just good fun.
And
Seriously.
you've seen the same memes I have. Who doesn't like drag culture? Who didn't love it when Bugs Bunny dressed up like a woman?
Yeah, that's the other thing too, right?
Who didn't enjoy Mrs. Doubtfire?
That's the
And Medea, etc. There's a list of comedians, a mile long that have
oh,
a drag
bruh.
character.
Big Mama's house.
Right?
Like
Flip Wilson again. He built it goes back decades. So yeah, even people that don't think they're into drag culture would probably list some of those people among their favorite shows, comedians, cartoons, and movies.
yeah. So like, go have some fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. It's not that serious. It's just people having a good time.
Tom Hanks got his start, doing drag and Bosom Buddies. That was the whole
Ooh,
conceit of that
yeah,
show is, hey, look at these idiots doing drag.
that's true. That's true. All right. We did mention a crossover earlier with another video game with Magic, and it was kind of an unlikely one, really. One that's been around for a minute in Destiny 2. They ended up doing a whole like crossover skin, but you don't really get necessarily Chandra and Liliana. You sort of get like their inspired looks of armor and things, like similar colors. the kind of even the one that's dressed as like Jay still has a cloak, so still give you the vibes. But then it was also weird because there was like small pieces, like I guess there's support ships and things that they did to look like the same color scheme as Elish Norn and a couple other bits. So it was very interesting how they tried to incorporate the familiar magic elements into their game, right? Because Destiny's been around for a minute, still has people that play it. I think we've seen like 10,000 concurrent players. So people are still active on it. Just kind of surprised because we don't really hear Destiny mentioned among like the pantheons of that genre really anymore. So I don't know, dude. Do you actually? Because again, you're writing for video games and stuff more. Like, is that still a thing for a
I
lot
mean,
of
like you
people?
said, 10,000 daily play, and that's usually I'm just assuming that's the Steam rating.
Yeah. So that means there's probably more still
Yeah,
amongst
because
it somewhere.
Sony and Xbox. Oh, excuse me, they got allergies going, but yeah, Sony and Microsoft don't give us their exact number, so I'm sure there's another several that could be as many as 50 or 60,000 or more playing on consoles too. So yeah, it's still in the kind of a looter shooter genre, which is we'll talk about later with shooter genres. Like it's not necessarily because again, this game is what I think a decade old or better. So
Yeah, it's gotta be right.
plus Marathon has launched and it's huge right now. So kind of Destiny can see the phone calls from inside the house. Their replacement is right there, but servers are still up, and far enough for the foreseeable future will continue to be as long as there's an active group. They got a mobile game, so they clearly are still. And then, like you said, they're doing this partnership. They clearly are still cultivating partnerships for Destiny when they find something works. And so, and that there is, I believe, magic in Destiny's universe. You remember that classic meme
Yeah.
of that wizard came from the moon, so it fits.
It looks like they did release in September 2017, so we're just at 9 years or coming up on 9 years
I feel like it's been
for
at
the
least a
game.
decade I've been writing about and hearing about Destiny.
Yes, that sounds about right. So really cool. Credit to them, because I do think when we talk about crossover items and products, pretty much everybody's doing some type of
Yep,
thing now, as much as we complain about it with Universes Beyond or whatever as Magic players. This is a way to kind of get them back on the radar. People are at least talking about it, right? That people weren't mentioning it before, and you're getting into some different circles. Hell, there's probably Magic players that don't even know what a Destiny 2 is.
absolutely. And there
That
could easily be Destiny 2 players that are in the same boat. They have no idea what Magic the Gathering is.
Yeah, and they're talking about it this week, which is cool. Now, some people are like, I don't know if I really wanted this crossover, needed this crossover, whatever. Kind of the same thing you hear anytime a game does a crossover with
Well,
something
yeah.
else. But so far,
And to be
it's
fair, like you said, they just did kind of, a themed skin. They're not replacing any of your favorite characters. It's just a skin.
yeah, you didn't get like Liliana with a helmet. You know what I
No.
mean? Like it's still the old stuff, just they have clothing and powers kind of centered around the different planeswalkers and stuff.
So again, obviously, Destiny, and at this point, I don't know of a shooter that doesn't sell elaborate costumes, and you're not going to like all of them. That's cool. Overwatch is absolutely in its crossover era, where every month there's Cowboy Bebop or Transformers or something. That's part of how they make money with what is a free to play game.
Yeah. I mean, this is just the norm these days, whether people like it or not. Like we've now reached the point of Ready Player One, right? Like all your nerd stuff is going to cross over, and this is just the world we live in, and it's working. That's the thing. So until people stop buying or getting the new skins or buying new cards or whatever the case is, companies are going to keep doing it till people either just quit buying or get burnt out on it or whatever the case is. But I mean, feels like every popular game has done some level of it recently.
And my cousin explained it best, with his wife's like, why do you need your character to look different? You want to look like you know what you're doing.
Fair. You don't want to look like a bum. Like I've been
Yeah,
here for a minute. I got
right.
this old skin.
And we joke about that. I have seen people where they're like, hey, you know how to play that character? Bruh, look at his skin. Oh, you're right. You're right. Is he? Is he right?
Oh, that's too funny, man. But yeah, it's a cool idea. We'll see if they do anything else or if they'd incorporate more stuff if this goes over well enough. But hey, if you play Destiny 2, you can now have some magic flavored characters if you want. But yeah, here's another interesting thing that happened in the past week. I saw an announcement that writer Brandon Sanderson, who's written some Magic lore before, I had forgotten he'd done it, but I remember when it popped up a couple of years ago, and he's now, I guess they took the writing off the website, as far as I could tell, and it's going to be published into a book that they're only going to make 1,500 of, and they look like they're all going to be signed and numbered and be $250 a piece. It was a little bit of a weird thing, but I mean, if you just want like hardbound lore for Magic, kind of cool.
And again, I'm so like, it's not a weird thing. How is that any more weird than paying $1,000 for a print from your favorite artist?
Yeah, some people pay for it. I get it. Like
There are people that like to read the lore. I'm one of them, so I get it.
yeah, I think the only thing that feels a little off to me is that I don't know if that was ever the intention when it was written for the website and everything else. And
No,
obviously, it was available for free for what, 2
yeah,
years or whatever, because this is based on an Innistrad story. So yeah, it's in 2018. So it's even older than that. Oh, because this is the previous Innistrad, actually, not even the most recent stuff we got. So this is even older than I remember, actually. So yeah, it's been up for a while. So it's not like people who wanted to read it couldn't read it. You know, just now, if you want to, it's going to be in this limited numbered printing.
and they
But
said at some point they are going to make it available for people who are not necessarily premier collectors at a lesser price. But this one, is obviously for people that want it because they're all autographed by him, and apparently it's going to benefit Child's Play. So I get it. It's
yeah,
like an art auction basically.
yeah, and I'll say this too. I think from Wizards' point, this is probably also keeping a good relationship with Sanderson in case they want him for a future project or have him write something. Hell, who knows if the movie or TV series go well? Maybe you want him to write some stuff for it. Who knows what's going on?
I don't know maybe you want him to write the movie. I don't know where they are in the in
Yeah,
the
maybe
process.
that too, right? Like, I do think some of the times as fans of products, Magic or otherwise, we can get caught up in the idea of like, this is just a money grab, or something. But sometimes there's also, some patting on the back, some hand rubbing, like some, hey, we're going to take care of you, so you take care of us later, kind of a thing. A fair amount of that still goes on, and this might be that, right? But again, you're also donating money to charity, which is also a good thing, and you can't really argue against that too much. But yeah, if you want it and you want to get a hardbound coffee table book or something for Magic, check it out. You can get a collector's item for $250, which is kind of cool.
And again, it's everybody that covers nerd culture covered this, so good publicity.
Yeah, also
As
true.
you're trying to make your lore more important, in the hopes that animated series, movies, and whatever other projects are coming down the pipeline, more crossovers, that all of these things take off.
Yeah, I mean, it's another way to legitimize yourself, so you can't really be too upset at that. We have some bad news. I guess we're going to end on two bits of bad news. One is Strixhaven had some leaks. So Secret of Strixhaven, just through the last week, it looks like, far as I can tell, at least a booster pack got free, broke containment, I guess, if you will.
It's like a ghost.
Yeah,
It's out of the containment unit.
I don't know how we describe this, but pictures did start showing up online. I saw them in one of the Facebook groups I'm on. Obviously, a couple different sites have covered things. Now, it wasn't like what happened with the previous set with Lorwyn, where we saw so many of the rares and mythics. This was mostly commons and a couple uncommons, I think, that I've seen. There might be some rares out there, but the couple images I saw weren't like the full scale big cards. So, not a terrible leak necessarily, but probably one that obviously WotC still would rather not have when you just came off of a really bad one that probably affected sales to some extent. And now we're finally getting into like, hey, things are sort of coming back to normal. We're going to start ramping up toward our end of year story with this set. And then like this happens. And it's like, ugh.
So you really feel like it hurt sales?
Not yet for Strixhaven. I do think between Lorwyn and Ninja Turtles, I think it did. It's nothing else. It hurts your pre-release attendance because everybody's already seen the stuff. Cards have already figured out whatever price they're going to be. people have already started plotting what singles to buy or whatever, right? All the fun and excitement that you get from the pre-release is definitely lessened by that. But I don't know. So far, I don't think this is going to affect Strixhaven. It's also Strixhaven doesn't have the same, what's the best word for it? The popularity,
Cachet.
yeah, exactly, that Lorwyn has. So I don't think the drop off would even be remotely as big anyway.
Yeah, because it's not, I mean, it feels like we have Harry Potter at home. It's not really. It
Sure.
is in theory an original setting, but it doesn't really feel that way.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what callbacks there are from the last Strixhaven, how the mechanics tie to some of the other recent sets, because there'll be lessons and whatnot, and we have decks that already care about those, and what it does to promote the story of Reality Fracture that we're going to get in the fall, right? Because that's supposed to be like the culmination moment of a big thing happening or whatever. So we'll see how that's all affected, but just putting it on the radar that it's out there. As always, I'm not going to talk about individual cards. I don't talk about them on my content or in my Discord until they're officially released because I know the effort and the time that both Wizards and individual creators put into
Yeah.
plotting and planning to promote this stuff, and I don't want to step on people's feet.
I will. One of the stories I read said, and again, we're not spoiling it because this isn't confirmed by anybody, but they are excited that they think Jace is evil in Reality Fracture. And again, I don't have not seen any confirmation of that, but apparently there is a significant portion of people that think Jace is going to be the big bad. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm sure there'll be a lot of disappointment if it turns out that he's not, because people have all kind of like the end of the Game Awards. Thousands of people have already made up their mind that Jace is
Oh,
Thanos now.
dude, I can say this without getting myself in trouble about the set because I haven't seen any cards, whatever. I have just seen some things and know a couple of things. But I will say that the themes and the ideas and designs for that set are definitely going to be different than what we've had in Magic before. And I think we're going to get some very interesting perspectives on a lot of things and different, I don't know, interpretations of things, which will be very cool. So, but that's in the name, right? Reality fracture. Everything's getting broken and, different things are going to come to fruition that may not have before. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a really cool set and sell very well when we get to it. That's going to be one that I think is going to be very exciting to talk about when the time comes. The other bit of bad news, though, and this is probably the most concerning for a whole genre of games, but Fortnite, or Epic, I should say, the company that owns Fortnite, is saying they're probably going to have a bunch of layoffs coming.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it
And it
might
feels
be
like
a
it's all
lot.
Fortnite related. So
Yeah. Says it plans to cut more than 1,000 jobs. Now, the first part is, wasn't even aware Fortnite had that many people working on it. But yeah, 1,000 jobs is a lot, man.
well, I mean,
And
they've Disney had that like multi-billion-dollar investment that we talked about. So they're doing, trying to expand it in all different directions. So yeah, there's that sounds that number sounds right, unfortunately.
yeah, and they did say they are saying a lot of this feels like to somewhat of a slight downturn in play, but largely because they spent a lot on the lawsuit with Apple because the whole Apple store and all that and what percentage they can take and whatnot. So I'm sure that was some number of millions paying lawyers and whatnot because I feel like that was been a 2 year battle almost. And then you also have the idea of there's also a big chunk of players that haven't been playing on their app store, which I guess they
Your
just now got
window
back into that.
Yeah, your window with a game is sometimes very small. Somebody that wanted to play Fortnite on their phone in 2023, they may not care anymore. They couldn't do it back then. So, they've moved on to some other game.
Yeah. And, you know, 8 years. That's how long people been messing with Fortnite. Like that's a hell of a run to be at the top for that long because they basically came out and by the end of their first year, they were just number 1 and set on the top of the whole battle royale genre. But we've talked about other battle royale games that have come out in the last 3 to 4 years that we've covered on the show, and they've all kinda died fairly quickly.
Yeah, it's like they started out. They went from it's good and bad. Yeah, you lead the genre and then you kind of became the genre, and anybody else that tried to get in, including Rumbleverse, which by the way was their own game, but you couldn't get enough people off of Fortnite to play another battle royal, so they kind of ended up cannibalizing their own game. Unfortunately, Rumbleverse was so much fun, by the way, but again, the stats show there are still millions of people playing battle royals, but they only play Fortnite or they only play Apex, and that's that one game for them is all they do. Because again, if you're really trying to play it, and if you got a regular group and you're trying to play not even necessarily competitively, but you don't want to be the one that has to constantly be revived. You got to put the hours in.
Well, this kind of comes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? All these companies spending all this time and money on all these games when ultimately the goal isn't even like, okay, yeah, your game looks good and it plays well, but how do you get them to stop playing the other thing they're playing? Right? Where do you fit into somebody's weekly or nightly schedule of gaming when they already have it dedicated to 3 other titles? Right? Like if they have 2 hours to game and each of those
Right.
games, hell, some of those games don't even get played daily. It might just be 2
Exactly.
hours on one game. The other one doesn't get played till the weekend, right?
And I mean, all these games at this point, even WWE 2K now has a battle pass where whatever hour a day you had to spend, they want you to monopolize it. Hey, you log in, you won't get this wrestler that's your favorite if you don't. And all games pretty much work that way now, unfortunately.
Yeah, and a lot of games, unfortunately, also are live service games,
Yeah,
right? Like, so they require you to be active and online and everything. And it's just, I don't know how many more of those people really want in their repertoire selection of games
yeah.
that they're going to be playing on a weekly basis.
Because the feedback for WWE 2K has been almost universally negative. Like, wait, I'm paying, like I paid you in some cases $100 to play the game or to buy the game. Now I got to pay you to play the game, essentially.
Yeah. And even use myself as an example. Like I have a couple of games that I keep kind of on my phone or whatever that are free to play, like Balatro, Once Upon a Galaxy, whatever. And those are fun, but I have like Arena, I guess, for my paid game, and then to a lesser extent, I'm already buying the battle pass and stuff on Teamfight Tactics. So if I buy the battle pass on a Once Upon a Galaxy, that's kind of, even though it's $5
Right.
here, $9 there, but like that's kind of it. That's my gaming expenditure, and I have the one I'm actively spending on or playing with Arena, but I also make money from it. So yeah, that's it. I'm not. I mean, I just recently bought Slay the Spire, and I got that for a discount because I own Slay the
Yep.
Spire 1. So they gave you a discount on Slay the Spires 2, which is
Right.
pretty cool. But
Which reminds me, there is a Steam sale on now. So yeah, it's your
yeah,
at your wallet's own risk.
but the thing is now I can go play Slay the Spire, but that also doesn't cost me anything,
Also,
right?
that
Play it at my leisure. There's no records, there's no battle passes. I just go play and unlock things as I have time. So if I only play once a week or I don't play it all this week or whatever, cool. There's no loss.
and like we said, there's room, so much room for games that aren't trying to make you buy all the things or collect all the things or play every day and do it because you like to play video games in most cases after you get off work. You don't want the game to become a second job.
Yeah, and I guess to kind of end on a higher note here, it's definitely worked for Slay the Spire 2, which by the way is supposedly still in beta and it plays great, by the way. It is one of the best implementations of multiplayer in a roguelike that I have seen. It is very good. Multiplayer. Matter of fact, I can tell you, Slay the Spire 1 on my Steam account literally has zero point 0.8 hours on it because I played through like 3/4 of a run, died, and then stared at it and went, yeah, probably not coming back to just do this all over again. It's kind of a grind by myself. We've already played 4+ hours on Slay the Spire 2. It's more fun and just plays better with more people. It's fantastic. And they've had more, I think they broke the record for the number of players simultaneously playing a roguelike online on Steam.
That doesn't surprise me in the least. It would surprise me if Slay the Spire 2 wasn't the one to break that record.
Yeah. So it can be done, in a different offline or well, still online to play with your friends, but nothing
Yeah.
that's forcing you, grinding you. It's not a grindy game to get in there and I got to get my battle pass, got to get my monthly rewards, got to get this thing. It's like, no, you paid your well, for a lot of people, if you own the first one, you paid 20 or $22 for a Slay the Spire 2 and feels like it's totally worth the money.
That's a huge thing that the people are doing now. Like I think for MLB 26, they had a thing where hey, if you bought 25 for $1, you get a discount on 26, and then they do a thing now where hey, here's 5 packs for MLB 26. It'll unlock whenever you buy it.
That's that first hit's free.
Right? Yeah, at some point this year, I'm sure I will play MLB 20, even if it's only from when it goes free on PlayStation Plus. At some point, I'll unlock those 5 packs.
Yep.
Of course,
It's
I'm going to open them because that's how it works. We gamers here, we ain't gonna not open free packs
That's exactly it, and they know it.
and then buy $20 more. We still didn't get the card that we wanted, and now we're hooked.
But yeah, man, check out Slay the Spire 2 if you haven't. Hashtag not sponsored, but yeah,
Right.
great game. Honestly, probably truly one of the better multiplayer experiences I've had in a game in a while. It's very good. But yeah, why don't you everybody where they can find you? We're not doing the show, buddy.
All right. You can see me on Uniquely Tish YouTube, and I'll have, well, I can't say anything yet. Next week, I'll have something else for you.
Ooh, look at that! A little bit of a spoiler.
Right.
of
Not a Strixhaven related. Nothing
Yeah, that's fair.
nothing
So
we'll get in trouble for.
some foreshadowing people can look forward to
Mm.
next week. Yeah, you can check me out on PowrDragn, PowrDragn, where we got a bunch of stuff going on. And I just posted a video talking about possible solutions to the secret layer problems that people are having with ordering. But wherever you're watching or listening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Please remember to take care of yourselves and your family. Remember to be awesome. And most importantly, be awesome to each other.